What if the survival of humanity depended on one person in the middle of space? That's the premise of Project Hail Mary, a story where failure doesn't just mean defeat, it means extinction. It's a perfect example of what we can call high-stakes sci-fi, an informal but increasingly useful way to describe science fiction stories where the pressure is extreme, the consequences are massive, and there's no room for error. But high stakes doesn't always mean saving the entire world. Sometimes they're more subtle. At the highest level, high-stakes sci-fi is simple. Everything is on the line. In Project Hail Mary, a scientist must figure out how to communicate with an alien species, not to win a war, but to solve a shared crisis.
Do you see this or don't you? You can see the hands, right?
It's science, communication, and survival under absolute pressure. But not all high-stakes stories operate on that scale. Sometimes the fate of humanity doesn't depend on action, but on understanding. In Arrival, first contact with aliens becomes a race against time. Miscommunication could lead to global conflict. Here, the stakes are still enormous, but the solution is quieter.
It's not about how communication holds us back. It's about the lack of communications. It's about fear, and it's about hostility, and how all of that just shuts us down. It's hard to communicate through fear and through anger because those emotions are so primal. And in a way, communication, although it feels very organic, is a much more sort of sophisticated human condition to be able to communicate, whereas fear and the other emotions are so primal.
Our conversations are one-sided.
High stakes can also emerge on a much smaller scale, at least at first. In Ex Machina, the story begins with just a handful of people in a controlled environment, but the implications are much bigger. When artificial intelligence becomes truly human-like, the balance of control can shift quickly and permanently.
She is a piece of art in a way. Her maker has made her as something precious, and of course he wants to make something because he can. He's an artist. He wants to make something beautiful. Well, without giving it too much away, there's a reason why she's made so pure, so like a newborn, like a young girl. You don't fear her because she's made in the most pure of ways.
Then there are stories where the threat is harder to define. In Annihilation, the danger isn't just external thanks to that amazing shimmer. It challenges identity, behavior, even the instinct to survive. The stakes become psychological, even biological.
Annihilation really refers to these sort of self-destructive tendencies that we all have, and it is bizarre, when you know that our species is, well, every living being is just trying to survive, and that we're supposed to be biologically just doing anything we can to survive, and yet why do we have these self-destructive tendencies that we do things we know are bad for us and we know hurt ourselves, and we do things that blow up our own lives, and both physically and mentally.
And sometimes high stakes are at their most intense when they're the most personal. In Gravity, the movie strips everything down to one person just trying to survive. No aliens, no global crisis, just space and no margin for error.
This is a movie about trying to come to terms with your own death or your own life. And it's much more internalized than people would think a space film would be. I love it because of that, and I think it's just an elegant piece. I was very proud to be in a film that wasn't just about blowing things up.
From saving humanity to surviving alone in space, high-stakes sci-fi isn't just about scale, it's about consequences. Whether it's a global crisis, a technological breakthrough, or something deeply personal, these stories all ask the same thing. What's at risk, and what does it take to overcome it? And as science fiction continues to evolve, one thing stays the same. The higher the stakes, the more human the story becomes.